Hi, my name is Victoria Medina, and welcome to One Nation, One Mission, One Promise, a place where we have a positive and uplifting conversation about America. Now, if you haven't seen the introductory video, your first question might be, what? How can we have a positive conversation about America, especially today? Well, my response is, how can we not? Now is more important than ever for us to talk to each other, uplift each other, share positive ideas, talk about the things that we're grateful for, talk about the things that are wonderful and how we could be even better. Because let's face it, if we're always complaining, we're never going to see the wonderful things that are around us and go even better. We're always going to be myopic. But if we come from a positive perspective where we look at how far we've come and know how far we can go, the possibilities are endless. And here is where we're having that conversation. So today we're going to talk about, what does America mean to you, and where did your family immigrate from? Listen to this. Oh, now here's my computer, so I'm going to be reading from my notes. I had always hoped that this land might become a safe and agreeable asylum to the virtuous and persecuted part of mankind, to whatever nation they might belong. George Washington, 1788. Now, he said that in many ways we have become that. Now, as I said, my name is Victoria Medina, and for those of you who are just meeting me for the first time, I am a photographer, writer, and performer. And what I wanted to do is take the three things I love and put it under one umbrella. So I created the American Spirit exhibit, which you could see at victoriamedinagallery.com. Had a very successful gallery showing, and the response was just wonderful. And from there, I wrote the book, One Nation, One Mission, One Promise, which is available on Amazon. It was an Amazon bestseller. And then we had the great joy of having the play, One Nation, One Mission, One Promise, have its off-Broadway debut this year, and now getting ready to tour. It's going to come to a city near you. And one of the quotes from the show is actually George Washington saying this. And what I wanted to talk about today is the cycle of immigration in this country, because we have this push and pull of welcome, 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 to no, we're closing our borders. Welcome, welcome, no, we're closing our borders. So what is this cycle? And because all of us, outside of First Nations people, and actually my family as well, outside of First Nations people and the people of the territories, Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands and other United States territories, everyone else immigrates to the United States. Everyone else is an immigrant. And so I want to have a conversation about, the cycle of immigration, and when did your family come to America, and why did they immigrate to America, and what was the circumstances about when they entered the country? How did that work for them? How were they treated? Because when we talk about the cycle of immigration, let's start at the beginning. And it began with 3 ships taking a voyage, and they are, of course, the story of Christopher Columbus, 1492, the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria. And they came over under the flag of Spain. So Spanish has been in this country forever. And they came over, okay, well, not forever, but since they arrived. And so the Spanish language has always been a part of our culture, our vernacular. And they came to this country, and they were greeted by First Nations, Native American people. And you know what the First Nations people did? They welcomed them. They helped them. They helped them to survive, because they could not have survived on this land without their help. And First Nations people have continued that welcoming and generosity for a very long time. They helped out when people came over from, we know the story of the Quakers who came for religious freedom. They were helped to survive. During the Code Talkers, First Nations people helped with their language. First Nations people served in the military, probably in a very higher percentage than we're aware of, serve in the military all the time because they believe in protecting this land. Now we know, we could certainly, there's a lot of information about the betrayal that went on and then the battles that went on after that, and it's not to be ignored. And I'm the first to say, we're not here to look at America through rose-colored glasses, but we're here to talk about what are the good things and how we could be even better. And so they were first welcomed in. So the first immigrants were welcomed in. And then we had that cycle. And then, of course, we had a time where then we had the revolution, and after that we have this wonderful Declaration of Independence. And did you realize that when Germans wanted to come in, Benjamin Franklin was concerned? And he said, no, no, no. He was not happy about this. And his concerns were, will they fit in? They don't speak the language. Their culture is very different from ours. Sound familiar? And then the cycle continues and people are welcomed in. Dutch people came in. When New York was considered New Amsterdam, it's interesting. The Dutch culture was a very different culture than the English culture, where the Dutch culture was much more, women were considered partners, women ran businesses. Dutch men and women were partners together. They would, of course, have, and they had very positive relationships with First Native people, First Nations people. And so that was their culture when they were running, when the Dutch were here and for New Amsterdam. But then when the English came over and it was changed to New York, that changed. And it became a hierarchy, where the man was the ruler, like a monarchy, which we fought against in the end and won the War of Independence. But it was that monarchy, and then going to women now being considered property, not having a vote, not being able to run businesses. And then, of course, there was the resistance towards having a positive relationship with First Nations people. So again, the cycle, positive, backing off, positive again, so you move forward. This always fascinated me. In 1892, Ellis Island opened. 1892, Ellis Island opened. And the first woman who came through Ellis Island, and why did they build Ellis Island? Because it was a place to greet the immigrants who were coming over, for them to be processed and then helped to whatever place that they wanted to go throughout America. So the first person to come through, her name is Annie Moore. And Annie Moore was from Ireland, and she was given a $10 gold piece from the immigration officer and told, "Welcome to America." Well, isn't that wonderful? She was welcomed in. But then, of course, you have the cycle again. So she's welcomed in, but then people who came after her from Ireland, not so much. Catholic, concerned about that. Too many Catholics coming in. Irish people could not get jobs. Irish people had a lot of challenges when they first came to America. And then, of course, that changed. So there's this constant cycle. And of course, we're seeing the challenges that we're dealing with today, where, you know, we're a humane country in many ways. But like any groups of people in every country, there are people who humanity is being tested today with how, well, actually, the wonderful thing is that we see the challenges that a lot of families are going through when they first came here, and they're being separated from their parents. And thank goodness the outcry that ensued from all the former first ladies to people across the country to say this is not humane, this is not right. So imagine, think about when your family first came to America. What would it have been like if they had lost touch with you as parents? What was their story? Have they ever told you their story? Do you know, families came over for a lot of different reasons, but in the beginning, there were about 85% of people coming over from Europe who were indentured servants. So we had, of course, people coming over as slaves from Africa and people coming over from Europe as indentured servants. We had people coming over who were being put in prison. So they were all, of course, had the opportunity of working out their prison sentence here in America, and again as an indentured servant. So people came willingly, and a lot of people came over not so willingly, but in the end created a better quality of life for their children and their children's children, or we wouldn't be having this conversation here today. So how did your family first come to America? And one thing that is really fascinating, and a lot of people don't realize that, but as I mentioned before, Puerto Rico is part of the United States, and everybody born in Puerto Rico, everybody born on the Virgin Islands are American citizens. But there was a time when that did not happen also. And there's this wonderful woman named Isabel Gonzales who came to the mainland to meet her future husband. She was going to get married, and the immigration laws changed. Right, it was after her future husband was already here working, sent her up, was settled, invited her to come up to join him, and the laws changed. Sound familiar? But she was told that she couldn't come, but she was Puerto Rican. And there wasn't a decision made as to the United States was now Puerto Rico was now a part of the United States, but they did not make a decision about the citizens and the people of Puerto Rico. Well, fortunately for everybody who has helped to make that decision clear, Isabel Gonzales started that conversation by taking the United States to court and saying, well, the United States is now a part of Puerto Rico. If Puerto Rico is now part of the United States, therefore the citizens are Puerto Ricans are American citizens. And yes, because of her efforts, because she raised her voice, like thousands of people across the country raising the voice for these children and these families coming in today, the laws were then changed. She won. It took her 15 years of advocacy and pursuing it and having articles written in the New York Times. The laws were then cleared that everyone of a United States territory is also an American citizen. So thousands of families come to America today. Your family may have come by boat or by plane, or as we're seeing today, on foot. And today, and they're leaving behind so many different things, but yet they're coming for a better life. So who helped your family? What were the issues that they dealt with? How did they overcome those issues? What can you do to help people and families coming in today, help them to overcome the issues that they're experiencing? Because one of the things that we always talk about is, how do we uplift ourselves? How do we uplift those around us? And then if we want to go even further, how can we uplift our neighbor, our community, and the nation? So think about how your family was helped and who helped them and what did they do and who are the heroes in your family that helped you to have an incredible quality of life today that you may not have had they not, persevered and created a better quality of life for all of you. And in turn, because each person who comes to this country helps us all, and who, of course, helped all of us to have the quality of life that we have today. And so I'd like to ask you, send in a 1-minute video about what does America mean to you. And think about how you're uplifting yourself and your children and what you're doing in it, and how, and nothing is too small. It's how you do it and how wide. So let's not go small or large, but let's say small, how immediate or wide that you help people, those around you, your neighbors, your community. Are you a community, do you help out with voters registration? Do you donate to a particular organization that you want to tell us about? Do you volunteer? What are the ways that you help in an immediate way or in a wider way? And send in a 1-minute video about what America means to you and where did your family come from. And you could send it to One Nation, One Mission, One Promise @gmail.com. Upload it to either WeTransfer.com or a Dropbox link, and we'll look at them and we'll just start uploading those videos so we could continue that conversation. Right below in the comments below about your family, about things that you want to share that are uplifting, that are positive, organizations that you think are doing amazing things, where our humanity helps each other, where we're helping each other to be positive and uplifting and live our best lives, because there is so much for us to be inspired about and grateful for. So thank you. I'm so happy to have this conversation with you again. I can't wait to hear your comments, read your comments, hear your videos, and speak with you again soon. And until then, capture the spirit of life with passion.